Ever wondered why the world seems to be in a constant state of conflict? If you felt a surge in global tension, you're not alone. According to the United Nations, a staggering 1 in 4 people, that's 2 billion of our global family, are living in conflict-affected areas. Imagine that! 1/4 of our world population is directly impacted by strife and violence. But the ripple effects of these conflicts don't stop at geographical boundaries. They permeate our lives through a non-stop news cycle and polarizing social media posts. The screens that we glance at throughout the day are constantly filled with images and stories of discord and division. These digital platforms can amplify the conflicts, making them seem ever-present and inescapable. In the midst of this global turmoil, one psychological phenomenon stands out: otherization. This process, deeply rooted in our psyche, often blinds us to our shared humanity and fuels the fires of conflict. What exactly is otherization, and how does it fuel conflict? A question that's as profound as it is urgent. Otherization is a psychological process where we perceive individuals or groups as fundamentally different from ourselves. This can lead to dehumanization, discrimination, and unfortunately, conflict. Let's dig a little deeper. The roots of otherization are intertwined with our inherent need for group affiliation. As humans, we crave connections and affiliations. This leads to the formation of communities, societies, and a collective identity. But in this process of identity formation, we often define ourselves in relation to others. This is where the us and them dichotomy is born. The us and them dichotomy isn't just a trivial distinction. It can foster a psychological environment where otherization acts as a defense mechanism, reinforcing our group identity. While it can give us a sense of belonging and satisfy our need for community, it can also lead to group fear and stereotyping. Fear, a potent and primal emotion, can push us to adopt a better safe than sorry approach. We may start generalizing, stereotyping, or even vilifying the perceived threat. These stereotypes can simplify complex realities, reinforcing the idea that they are different and potentially dangerous. The us and them dichotomy is not just a harmless distinction, it can lead to fear, stereotypes, and biases. It's a cycle that can perpetuate conflict, and understanding it is the first step to breaking it. Fear and stereotypes can push people towards a better safe than sorry approach, but at what cost? It's a question worth pondering. The emotion of fear, potent and primal, can compel us to generalize and stereotype, even vilify those we perceive as threats. Stereotypes, in turn, simplify complex realities, bolstering the notion that they are different and potentially dangerous. But these simplifications can distort our understanding of the world, painting a black and white picture where there's actually a spectrum of grey. Now, let's throw another ingredient into the mix: confirmation bias. This is a psychological phenomenon where we're more likely to accept information that agrees with our preconceived ideas and dismiss those that challenge them. This bias strengthens stereotypes, amplifying the process of otherization, but it doesn't stop there. Social psychologists have identified another fascinating dynamic at play: in-group favoritism and out-group derogation. Essentially, we naturally favor those we identify with, our in-group, while harboring negative attitudes towards those we perceive as different, the out-group. This subconscious inclination, while seemingly innocuous, can fuel otherization, deepening the chasm between us and them. So we see how fear, stereotypes, and biases contribute to otherization, but social, economic, and political contexts also play a significant role. The interplay between these elements forms a complex web, a cycle of fear and bias that perpetuates conflict and division. The question then becomes, how do we break this cycle? How can social, economic, and political disparities foster otherization? Well, let's dive in. Disparities in wealth, power, and resources can significantly contribute to the problem of otherization. When there's a stark contrast in access to these elements, it can breed competition and conflict, further widening the us and them divide. Now let's bring leaders and governments into the picture. They hold a powerful position, and sometimes they manipulate these disparities to emphasize differences between groups. They might exploit economic disparities to stoke fear and resentment, or use political power to create policies that unfairly favor one group over another. This manipulation can exacerbate otherization, driving a deeper wedge between different groups in society. It's a complex process, isn't it? But remember, understanding these processes is the first step towards countering the harmful effects of otherization. By recognizing these dynamics, we can better challenge the systems that perpetuate otherization and work towards a more inclusive world. So, what can we do to counter otherization and its harmful effects? Many of us may wonder. The first step is introspection. Recognizing and challenging our own biases and stereotypes is crucial. It's not an easy task, as these biases often operate on a subconscious level, but it's a necessary one. Next, we can foster empathy and understanding towards those who are different from us. This can be done through education, exposure, and open dialogue. Understanding the experiences, struggles, and perspectives of others can help us see past the us and them divide. But personal change is not enough. We also need to advocate for social, economic, and political equality. This means standing up against policies that perpetuate disparities and advocating for ones that promote inclusivity. It means using our voices and our votes to challenge the structures that foster otherization. By taking these steps, we can begin to break down the barriers of otherization and work towards a more inclusive and peaceful world. Remember, the fight against otherization is not just a fight for the other, it's a fight for humanity. Let's all stand together in this battle. Thank you for tuning in to the Psychology of Otherization, a deep dive. We hope this video has given you a deeper understanding of the concept of otherization and its effects on society. If you found our content insightful and valuable, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. By doing so, you'll have access to more videos like this one, helping you explore complex social issues in a digestible way. We also encourage you to engage with us. Is there a topic you're interested in that you'd like us to delve into in a future video? Let us know in the comments section. We appreciate your input as it helps us create content that is relevant and meaningful to you. So don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment below. Until our next deep dive, keep learning, keep growing, and let's continue to challenge the status quo together.